So good evening, welcome to the Donny Chain Gang down here in the studio, live on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. It's me, Matt Payne, going to be bringing you all of the action coming from tonight's monster of a ride with the Donny Chain Gang numbers currently over 460. I'm not quite sure what Russ and I did to deserve this. We must have been bad in a previous life, but we now have huge numbers, and thank you everybody who's joined us recently. If you've not been on before, welcome to the live feed. I know a number of you will have this rolling as you're going. Remember, key things on this: it's a ride, not a race, although it often does turn into one after the go go go. We will be featuring all the riders who are from the yellow beacon back to the red beacon up to the go 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 point. Then anybody who is with that yellow beacon at the go go go, we will then bring into the finish. If people go off the front and they start riding away in a separate group, they won't feature on the coverage. If that was you, try not to do it, guys. It rips the group apart. We're looking to keep everybody together and really drive forward with this massive group of riders so that everybody gets a great ride. And that's what Russ and I set it up for. Something to look forward to, a way to get better, something to keep us occupied in what is a lockdown. It was lockdown number one last time. Well, it is lockdown number one, but just the first one of 2021. Hopefully the last one, but we will see. Now, we have Russ, not going to be long before Russ is on the line with us. And we've got a little bit of new tech rolling out. Hopefully the feed's going to be nice and smooth tonight, but it may get jumpy. If it does, hold on. A bit like turbulence in the plane, don't worry, we will get through it. We'll get out the other side. But with big numbers, the aim is trying to get everybody together to the finish, and the same is true of the feed, because with big numbers on the feed, big numbers on the computer and on the game, all that processing power here, it is like a bit of a hothouse in here in the studio. Although we are underground to keep the noise down, the studio has a habit of getting warm. We've got so many processors running at once, and we've got a lot of processing power going. And a massive thank you to Zwift for their processing power and all of their contributions, because they really have made this fantastic game a home for the Donny Chain Gang whilst we are in lockdown. And it looks like Russ and I have really made a rod for our own back when it comes to Tuesday and Thursday nights. And the good news is that that is going to be a Tuesday and a Thursday and some Wednesdays, because we have a women's only ride coming up, another one. And we had the first one, the special, that happened between Christmas and New Year. We're going to be rolling another one out, and that is going to be coming out to you on the 20th of January. And look out on the Facebook group page, so that's the Donny Chain Gang Facebook group page, for all the details of that. That's going to be coming your way, and expect to see some details on that. It's going to be led by Emma, who led the first one, and we're going to have pro riders along with lots of average Joes, just like you and me, out riding with pros like Russ, but only we're the wrong gender, Russ and I. It's going to be all women, and that means that there's not going to be any men on that ride on the 20th. So if you are a female rider, you want to come and have a go, you've maybe not joined the Chain Gang before, that's the day to do so. Now, remember, we're going to be out on the Chain Gang very soon. Let's get across to Russ. Hopefully he's on the line. So let's see if we can get Russ on the audio. Hello, Russ.
Hello, Matt. Are you asking if I'm on the start line or on the phone line? I'm on both then, so the start line and the phone line. So yeah, everyone's a winner.
We've got really big numbers tonight, haven't we?
Yeah, I don't think I can actually count up to the numbers, the amount of people we've got on here tonight. I think it was 460 the last I looked. So yeah, you know, wow, someone's just opened a can of DCG somewhere, and yeah, it's going to be a crazy one. But yeah, you know, we started with 40 guys at the start of lockdown, and now we've got 460. So yeah, we're doing something right.
Indeed, it is kind of a build it and there will come, and they're coming in droves. It's going to make it difficult to control, isn't it? As we always reiterate for people, 100 riders is what's visible when you're on the ride, but everybody can see the beacons. They can see the yellow beacon and the red beacon, can't they? And that is critical, to know that you're between the yellow and the red on the start of the ride, and then once the go goes, that's the time when you can start making it spicy on the front.
Yeah, it's the numbers are a thing. You know, you only see 100 on drift, but you can see the yellow beacon. If you can't, you're doing something wrong. You're either too far back or too far forward. So, you know, since the start, we've had the same type of rules. You know, all the way through, stay around yellow. And now with the big numbers, I can't go backwards and forwards, and neither can anyone else looking after each other. So I stick to the power numbers we're saying, and you know, it's a 2 watts rollout for sort of 5k, really steady, you know, let everyone get into it, and then we're just going to do 1 lap, all try to be under 3 watts per kilo today, which then what's that, 24k at under 3 watts. That's going for some people. I understand that, but in the draft, you know, you're going under 3 really, so it should be good, and then we'll wait and see how the ride's shaping up to when I type go go go.
Yep, and we don't know when that is, and that's part of the fun. That's what we want to see. So, just for everybody who hasn't been in RGV, key points, of course, on this. There's multiple villages, loads of sunflowers. We've got to climb, though, part of the way around, haven't we? And that's where it's going to be critical for people to stick to the numbers.
Yeah, that's the hard bit. It's only, I think it's 400 meters long, and it's got a little kicker in it, but yeah, it can quite easily get stretched. So yeah, if we do stretch it out there, we definitely want to regroup over the top and then settle down into the bottom, and then you'll get a go 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 quicker if you listen to the commands. And yeah, I'd quite like to just take it to the finish today at 3 watts per kilo to have an easy ride, but I'm sure there'd be some people oh come on, you said there was a go go go. So you know, hang fire and you'll get a good workout, and you'll have some fun as well with it.
Definitely.
As we're hitting 340 riders now. I think the record was 305 on the Christmas special. So we've blown that out of the water, and maybe we'll get 400 tonight, and that would just be unbelievable.
Definitely. Right, we are going to let you get on and take some destructions for everybody on screen. So thank you very much, Russ, and good luck, mate. If you're still alive at the end of it, then no doubt you and I will be spending a little bit of time unwinding and chatting about it tomorrow. Good luck.
Copy and paste, mate. That's all it's about.
Keep
Have
it
a good
going.
one, mate.
And you. Cheers, Russ. So a massive thank you to Russ there. It is great to have him giving us all of the details and all of the information, and good luck. Russ is definitely what he needs with the numbers ticking it on up. As we said, huge numbers tonight, so please guys, please get those message boards on. Make sure that you are clicked in and you can see what's going on. Well over 460 on the app at the moment, and don't forget the companion app is your friend if you are going on the Chain Gang. It's absolutely critical that you keep that rolling, because that will tell you exactly what's going on. And in fact, 479 at the moment, 479 is the number as we tick in with a couple of minutes to go. We're going to let the guys head out and get rolling, and we are going to bring you the details of the course whilst they get themselves all assembled and back together. So let's show you what we've got in store for you. We are in France, and we are at the RGV, the Route Grand Vitesse, or in other words, the fast route, the very fast route that takes you round France. It is a cracking route. We have our yellow beacon, Russ Downing, the former national champion, the man who has got more patience than I have, that is for sure. We have our red beacon, Andy Singleton, a regular on the Chain Gang. He really, really is an experienced rider. He's looking to tow people round and get as many people into that finish together. So make sure you listen to him. Make sure you've got your message boards on if you're out there. We are going to go through the lead-in, which is 1 kilometre long. We're then going to hit the RGV route twice round RGV, which at 24.1k gives us 49.2 when we hit the finish of the ride that we're going to cover, and that is the Marina Sprint banner. It's an orange banner that goes over. It's the same one we used on Tuesday. However, a slightly different course tonight, and it does mean that our warm down is only a 0.8k, but we have a lot less elevation 214 meters. What does that look like in terms of Zwift? Well, I'm going to move out the way. Let's get the map up and running as our riders start to head out from the pens. This is the route. We start on the bright red section on the left hand side of the map. We work our way up around the island past Mont Saint Michel. We come up over the aqueduct KOM. It's a very small climb up to the lake and the aqueduct. We then drop down round past Ballon Sprint and in round the windmill and into the gorge. We wiggle our way through the gorge with a sharp right turn and a right onto the finishing straight. Lap number 1 complete. We'll head back out again, and then you will find that we have the go, go, go. It's not going to be long before that happens on lap 2. I can't imagine. We'll see where that ends up being. Don't forget, of course, it's all about what that elevation does. So let's check the elevation here and just getting messages from the riders who are out on ride already, which is great to see. Thank you very much, guys. The profile of this course, well, this is what it looks like. It's really flat, so well over 12 kilometers before we hit the aqueduct KOM. Up onto the aqueduct KOM, it's 400 meters long at 5% before we drop back down. It then gets bumpy in towards the gorge as we drop down to the Marina Sprint, and that takes you around your 24k. Now we are going to show you the profile on one of our great friends on the Chain Gang. This is VeloViewer's version of the elevation. Now this is critical because, as you can see, the majority of the course is super flat, and what you're looking for is you are looking for the guys who are going to be up and riding round and up and over the KOM. That KOM is absolutely critical because that mini KOM is the trickiest part of the course by far. So we're going to see whether or not that is up and rolling. So not going to be long before we're out there on that section of the course. It certainly looks like the numbers tonight are making things very interesting out there indeed. So there are lots of riders already spread out and around the course at the moment. So remember, guys, keep it nice and tight together. So let's go across to the ride. We're just in with one of our riders. So dropping across into Zwift, and it certainly looks like it is busy out there as these riders are out on course. And as you can tell, the helicopter out and watching these riders coming in and through the marina. It is really busy out there, so please remember, guys, if you can't see the yellow beacon, you're kind of in the wrong place. So let's head out onto the course here on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel, out on the Donny Chain Gang. Time to see just what's happening out on the Chain Gang. So really busy out on the Chain Gang here in RGV, the route Grand Vitesse. We're looking for our beacon, Russ, to find him in amongst the hundreds of riders. We see a few familiar faces already. Just dropping in with Matt Stevens at the moment. So we're going to drop up above Matt and see whereabouts Matt is at the moment. So Matt just putting out the message, drop it down to 2 watts per kilo, and he's dead right. That's exactly what we want you to do. Matt Stevens here, commentator and former national champion and professional rider. Matt, of course, known for his great hairstyles as well as the amazing commentary, and good to have Matt back with us. He's been on the Chain Gang before, and Matt in with the group, and certainly looking busy. Remember, the aim is to stay around the yellow beacon. And great to see so many riders in and on the Chain Gang. Now we have something in the region, and we think it's about 40 women riders in on the Chain Gang. That's great to see because the numbers have been growing since the women's special. Just jumping in with Russ. So if you are out and riding at the moment, it is Russ currently sitting at what looks to be about 2.5k, and just getting really busy. We're only going to go from, remember, the front of the yellow beacon, just from the yellow beacon back all the way back to the red, and certainly looks like Russ trying to keep everybody together. Remember, if you can't see the yellow beacon, you're in the wrong place. It's all about getting those watts per kilo nailed back down. Remember, Russ is rolling at 2.5. If you are in front of Russ, you're going too quick. So Russ just trying to get everybody together here. We're going to feature some of our regular riders who we see on the chain gang. Great to see a beard on a bike in and around Russ. Gail Phillips is in here. Gail, of course, a regular on the Donny chain gang as well. Looks like Mr. Edwards, Vin Donahue in here. Mr. Dyson is in here. We're going to head across and try and get across to Andy Singleton. He is our red beacon. So let's jump in with Andy. Andy, of course, one of our regulars on the chain gang, and it looks to me like we may well need to just jump up into the air and follow the red beacon. Everybody is holding it together just about. So let's jump in with Andy Singleton. We're going to use our drone cam and let's see if we can zoom down on the red beacon. Now, Andy's going to be trying to hold this together as we come round. The red beacon is going to be the man who holds everything together at the back. The party bus, as it's known on the Donny chain gang, and it is looking super smooth. So Andy in this group, and Andy Singleton, a regular on the chain gang, and as you can see, a regular on Zwift as well. If you like the bike, don't forget, of course, that you get that bike, the Zwift concept bike, by completing it's going to be a 50 one Everesting challenge is 50,000 meters of ascent. And at the moment, Mr. Singleton in the red jersey with the red beacon, with the Tron bike, just holding around the back. So remember, the aim is to stay with the yellow beacon, guys. We won't be covering anybody who's in front of it all the way up to the front. And as Matt Stevens says, hold together by the beacon. All the experienced riders are there, all the smart riders are there, because they know if you don't hold by the beacon, you will get distance when you come into the finish. So it's all about holding by the beacon. Do not waste energy. Everybody knows that. So here we go. Jumping up the top. And we're going to just take a little bit of a look down the road. Plenty of riders. About 100 riders between the red and the yellow at the moment. Remember, Andy Singleton trying to hold it about 2 to 2.5. And it looks like most of our riders are doing that. We're just going to drop back to a couple of riders who maybe are just a little bit further back on the back of the group at the moment. Let's drop back to Mr. Whitehead at the moment. Looks like there's 1 or 2 riders just starting to jump in and join the ride behind. So looks like a number of riders just jumping in behind the beacon. And that is often what happens, which is one of the reasons why we take a little bit of time just to jump in with. Now, this is one of our regular riders going to be chasing on here. This is Mr. Radcliffe, so you've got to watch out for this young man. A very fast rider you've got to really keep your eye on. And George Radcliffe, one of our regulars on the chain gang, and always an aggressive rider. And as you can see, making his way up towards the bunch. Remember, the aim is to blob around the beacon now. Looks like Mr. Radcliffe here pushing on. He's just coming onto the wheel of Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris just going to need to try and grab that wheel. These guys at the back having to kick out between 4 and 6 watts per kilo, trying to get themselves back up in here. And as we can see, if we jump up into the sky, Radcliffe working his way up towards that red beacon. He's just about going to make contact. Here he is. This is a lone rider on the back, working his way up towards the back of the main pack. So Radcliffe just making his way back in touch, and in around the beacon he goes as this big pack comes steaming through. So George now well and truly ensconced in that group as they head out, and the back of the group here all bunching up around the yellow beacon. Now, as you can hear, we are now over the cobbles and it does get very noisy. We're going to jump up to the camera up in the sky and jump in with our helicopter, quite simply so that we don't lose the riders in front. We're going to have a little hunt around Russ, and let's see who's in here. Looks like Claire Watson in joining us on the chain gang. So let's jump in with Watson. Watson nicely in this group between the yellow beacon and the red. So it looks to me like Claire in here, and Claire rolling around nicely in that group. So here we go, just rolling in. Looks like Mr. Hopkinson, David Hopkinson, just in this group. Connor McWigan in here as well, and just rolling around nicely around the red beacon. Remember, guys, remember, the aim is to stay around the red beacon for as long as you need, but the man you want to be piling on top of is our yellow beacon. The yellow beacon is Russ. Now let's take a little bit of a look. We've got Becky Porter-James in this group. We're going to work through a number of these riders, and I'm sure we're likely to see them out on the chain gang when we have our women's chain gang, the women only chain gang, 20th of January, with it is going to be Emma Payne out on the on the yellow beacon duties. And it looks like our red beacon is going to be Gail Phillips. Gail is going to be the rider who's going to do that. So remember, the aim is to stick with the yellow, and Becky Porter-James here riding nice and smoothly just in front of our red beacon. So another of our regular riders. We're going to work our way through here. Looks like Seb Grindley, one of the younger riders, is going to be working hard here. And Seb is a youngster. If it is Seb Grindley in this group, it certainly looks like it is. Yep, so Grindley it is. So Seb, a podium rider on the National Cross Series, and definitely one of those riders who we know is going to be having to kick out a lot more watts per kilo, mostly because he weighs nothing. In fact, he doesn't even register on a set of digital scales, doesn't young Seb Grindley. So good to see Seb in here. Looks like we've got a few more of our regulars in here. Look like Andrew Whitehead in with this group. Let's jump in and see who we can go with. If we jump in with David Hopkinson, another of our regulars out on the chain gang. David in the purple and orange strip and looking really smooth here. And just take a look up in the sky here. You can just see sitting in front of the red. Remember, the groups at the back, you need to be pushing on to try and stay with that yellow beacon. 450 plus riders clicked on. In fact, 480 riders clicked on at the start. We're going to try and jump in with more of our regulars now. Let's take a little bit of a look. This is Victoria Chavaria. Vic is sitting in here with the new nice disc wheels on. So good to see Vic back with us once again. Now, Victoria, if you don't recognise that flag, shame on you. It is the Costa Rican flag. And Victoria, another of our regulars from the word go. And looks like Vic holding in with that group. We're just trying to work our way around as many people as we can in these groups, and they do need to keep those gaps closed up. You can just see at the moment Scotland is the rider leading the charge to get on here. Now the main group will be doing 2.5 watts per kilo if it's going right. However, as it does that, it can very easily drop riders, quite simply because of the pace it's going. I'm just going to take a little bit of a look. It looks like Joff is in here. So Joff Watson, a legend in his own lifetime. He's got the hair colour in right, at least, because he's a bit of a silver fox these days. In fact, he's been a bit of a silver fox many days. A rider who's been around a long time and riding for Scott Sports. And good to see Joff on here. Let's hope he can actually do the bike justice and actually keep up with everybody in the way round. Holding the pace nicely in here. And this little group just working to try and close that gap back down to the back of the main pack. They're going to need to keep pushing onwards. Now just rolling around these riders. Let's have a look who else is in this group. Let's see if we can get some more of our regulars in here. So it looks like this is Andrew Wolf of Matlock. Good to see Andrew in here. Another of our regular riders in the East Midlands. And out riding on the chain gang. Let's take a little bit of a look through this group. We're going to have a quick check as we work our way up towards the front. Mr. Fish is in here. Paul Dickinson, looks like Barnett in here. Craig Sellen sitting in the right pass. Now, Craig is a very experienced chain gang rider. Craig, of course, one of those sort of riders we know who can be in towards the finish. So great to see the rider on his way up here. Let's have a little bit of a look at what's Craig got on the wheels. Nice deep wheels. Going to be a little bit more efficient with deep wheels than you are with shallow ones on the way up through here. And at the moment, Craig riding strongly. This group trying to keep in. And you can see the pressure is on at the back of this group. And certainly looks like making its way up towards the back of the main group. We're going to take a little bit of a check across. Now, looks like Karen Partington in this group as well. So let's have a little bit of a look. Karen, if it is Karen, is another regular rider out around the East Midlands, and Karen Partington holding plenty of Queen of the Mountains in the local area, riding nice and strongly. And we are now going in and on to the hillier section. If we zoom out on the map, top right hand side of your screen, you will see our Zwift map, and that will show us the riders as we start making our way through. It looks like Karen, not too far from the legend that is Rebecca Charlton. So let's have a look. Rebecca Charlton, of course, one of the key commentators and presenters in the cycling world, and Rebecca in on the group, a regular on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and Rebecca kicking out around about 200 watts. She's got a little bit of difference in her watts, she says, from the Watt bike to the Zwift bike, and riding pretty smoothly at the moment, just going alongside Miss Cookie, one of our beacons during the Women's Week. I think sweeper on the women's ride, and we're going to be looking to see if Rebecca makes it to the women's special. That's going to be on Wednesday the 20th, and it looks at the moment like Rebecca riding nice and smooth here, just behind Phil Jones, and just going to keep a check on all these riders. There is a lot of riders out on the course at the moment. In fact, there's lots of riders' bikes. If we're not careful, we have to be a little bit careful here. So Josh Edmondson in here, Man and Lloyd from GCN in and riding. It looks like Andrew Swift in here, John Garfer, Phil Jones, Mick Hanley. Looks like Abigail Wade, Lily Swan in here. Ashley Phillips riding smooth, Lily Swan in. Let's have a little look at Lily. Let's see how Lily is going. She's one of our regular quick riders on the group, and I'm not too far away from Russ at the moment, which is good to see. That's what we want our riders to do. Lily usually in the green jersey, yeah, in the green Zwift jersey, and Lily, one of our riders, one of our 40 women riders in this, the open ride today. So the chain gang is rolling along. Remember, we focus from the yellow beacon back to the red until we hit the go point, and at the moment just looking back, just trying to see where that red beacon is. If you don't know where the yellow or red is, look on your map top right hand side. If you are riding, you can always click on it. As you can see, we can go to a 3D view, we can go to the zoomed in view, and we can zoom right out to see where the map is. But these riders are now going to be coming into town, so as they swing in underneath the bridge, we're just going to sit in with Lily Swan as they come through, and sitting nicely in around the yellow beacon at the moment. As you can see, this fantastic World on Zwift rendered into the game, and brings all of our riders on the way through France, through town here, past the town hall, and are going to be making the way in through underneath where the pavé sprint reverse is. So we're not going to be contesting the sprint. You can see just going through the archway there, and at the moment those riders now starting to head back out of town. As you can see, we are on the cobbles. So as Dan Coleman's just said, if you're up on the front, guys, you need to be around the yellow beacon. It's not difficult. Follow the bear. It might be a dodgy 1980s advert, but the aim is to follow the bear. Follow your way in and around. Now let's take a look at some of the riders who know what the score is. Let's jump in with Andy Horse. Don't worry, we will be leaving the Muppet Show up the front. Anybody off the front generally gets lots of abuse from the riders, just like you would on a normal chain gang. If you go off the front of the normal chain gang, you usually get a load of stick. Well, let's see exactly what tends to happen on here. Now, let's have a little look here. It is going to be Andy Hawes, keeping on pedaling nice and smoothly here. So Horsey just with Manon Lloyd alongside, and Andy Hawes in that Assos kit with the skull on the back, just riding his way up through the middle of this group. And if we take the drone camera a little bit higher up into the sky, you can see Andy rolling around right next to that yellow beacon, sitting in the main group. So good to see Halsey sitting in here. I think Lisa Leverton holding this group nicely at the moment. So Leverton, one of our newer riders onto the chain gang, sitting up alongside the gang. It looks like Xavier Tisserand. Good to see you on here, Xavier. Xavier doing the business, holding round the yellow beacon as well. Looks like Mr. Akers is back as well. I'm going to take a quick check on these riders on the way through. So let's just jump in with Lisa. This is going to give us a good representation of our women in the group. Lisa Leverton, a really regular rider on the road, and Lisa on the chain gang for the first time now. 145 or so watts, 100 revs per minute, and a heartbeat of about 154. Gives you an indication of just how hard that Lisa is working. If we compare Lisa to a rider, one of our male riders, we're maybe going to jump in with Mr. Ferron. It just depends on who we get hold of. Let's compare it to the teammate, the fellow member of Bolsover. This is Mr. Ridley. That's Alan Parsons, and Alan, 275 watts at the moment, 136 beats per minute. So Alan's heart rate a little bit lower. The pedal rev's lower as well as they come up and over, and we're now heading up on to the side of the aqueduct. You can see here in France the Ventoux in the background. The Ventop, as it's known on Zwift, is home to Lorraine, and that is one of the big groups rides up there we've done on the Donny Chain Gang. It is a really tough climb, and it is certainly one of those that we definitely tend to watch out for. Riders coming across it in ones and twos today. That's definitely not going to be the case here on the Donny Chain Gang, as all these riders start to make their way up. We're going to try and bring you a bit of a heads up on where the riders are behind our yellow beacon at the moment. And then we're going to do that. We're going to drop back to our red beacon first of all. And this is Andy Singleton. Singleton aiming to ride at around 2.5 watts per kilo, although I think there's been a little bit of a push on there to stay with that group as they come in and through. So this is Andy Singleton's group. He's got a nice big group sitting in here with the guys. Behind there's quite a few riders, so let's have a little jump behind Andy at the moment, who is rolling that red beacon. He's pulling a good group of riders along here. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a check. Andy Caldwell in that group. Looks like Fish is in there as well, so Fish are riding around our beacon at the moment. Conor McGuigan in there. Looks like Jan Taylor, Rob Carling, Joff Watson, all in and around this group. We're going to take a little bit of a check back, so let's just jump in with some of the riders behind our beacon, and we're going to try and jump across. Takes a little bit of doing when it is as busy as it is today, because all of these positions are going to be changing pretty quickly. So let's jump in first of all with Becky Porter-James. Becky just on her way down off the side of the aqueduct. Looks like Rebecca Charlton just a little bit further behind, and so Charlton currently just dropping off the concrete behind. Rebecca's got Mike Killingsworth just behind as well. Looks like Claire Watson chasing hard behind. Tim Cooper doing the same as well. Looks like Reeves and Cooper maybe late join us into the party at the moment. So Watson. So this is Claire Watson just on her way now. Claire chasing Mike Killingsworth. Mike Killingsworth currently sitting about 22 seconds up the road. Rebecca Charlton's is 6 seconds in front of Mike, and Rebecca's going to get some company pretty close. I think Mike Killingsworth's going to get in there. And as we say, if you've been distanced by the main group, the aim of this is to jump in together, form a group of riders and work together. The chain gang works by working together. It's absolutely critical. That is the way that you get yourselves around. Now let's take a little bit of a look in front. Becky Porter-James is the rider just in front of Rebecca Charlton, 13 seconds up the road from Charlton, and just behind I think Joe Munden. So good to see Joe on the chain gang here. And if we take a little bit of a look back from Joe, she's going to be seeing Porter James coming up behind. Who's in front? Well, I think Harvey's just up the road. You can see the rider in the orange. And that's going to be Harvey. So just in with Harvey here. So Harvey pushing onwards and just being close to Joe Munder now at 5 seconds behind. I'm going to get some company soon. Then it's going to be Barnett. So Barnett from the Donny squad, just working his way up towards Mr. Hopkinson. So let's take a little bit of a chuck up at David Hopkinson. Hopkinson looking smooth on his way along here, and going to get some company. I think Barnett going to be on his wheels soon. In front of them is then Slack kicking out 4.1 watts per kilo at the moment. Looks like it's just on the chase, trying to close down the distance in towards the group. Then it's going to be one of our Johnson riders up in there. So Johnson just trying to close the gap back into that big group on the red beacon. Remember, the red beacon aiming to ride about 2.5 watts per kilo at the moment, and looks like Webb just closing down on the heels here. So let's jump up in the sky. This is our red beacon group, and at the moment just sitting in with Webb. Webb just dropping off the back of that group a little bit. He needs to just push on. You cannot afford to get on to the back of the group too much, because you can get distance very, very easily. Just seeing Johnson pushing it in. Looks like Johnson's going to get in here, Slack in this group as well, and it's all about holding on for these riders up here. This group are going to hold together. This is a really nice pack rolling around at the 2 to 2.5 watts per kilo, being headed up by red beacon. That is Andy Singleton. You can see the chevron right over his head. Pattison in here, Fish in here. Looks like Wolf and Matlock is in this. Bennett from Sheffield Try, Andy Caldwell, Vic Chavaria in here, Conor McGuigan, I think, just rolling around nicely in this group as well. And that is what we want to see. We want to see that group working together, and that is going to give these riders a really good result. They're going to be motoring on, so some fantastic stuff here, guys, in around our red beacon. We're going to take a little bit of a look up the road, and let's have a little bit of a check of what's going on a little bit further up from the red beacon group. So this red beacon group just going to be trying to chase down, I think it's going to be Gary Pattinson. So let's take a check where Pattinson is. I think he's actually in this group at the moment. It just shows you just how many people are rolling around in the pack. So we'll go across to one of our favourite riders. This is going to be the rider which is Martin Bolt. Bolt, one of our regular riders on the Chain Gang. He was the red beacon for many, many weeks. Many weeks indeed. Martin Bolt was our beacon for them, and that is absolutely critical role. And certainly looks at the moment like all these riders are just sitting around Martin Bolt. They've got a little bit of a gap back to the red beacon. If you take a look up on your screen, they're about halfway. Top right hand side of the map, you'll just see the riders going in underneath the what's known as the Ballon Sprint reverse. Not contesting the sprint, we don't need to, as our yellow beacon and our red beacon are almost equidistant. So it's all about holding the wheels. Good to see Andy Singleton really keeping those instructions going. We're going to move up from this group. We're going to see where Mr. Thornley is. Thornley are working hard, and at the moment Thornley can just about see that yellow beacon in the distance. So let's take a little bit of a look with our drone cam. As you can see, just coming around that Ballon Sprint area, the yellow beacon just dropping over the other side of the hill. Now we're going to be heading down into the roller coaster very, very soon. We're just going to work our way around the windmill. Behind the red beacon, definitely out of sight. So it looks to me like that yellow beacon is going to be the one he's going to go for. Behind, it's 8 seconds back to Martin Bolt's group. You can just see them actually coming behind the rider here, behind Thornley of Chevrolet. So Sheffield in here, Sheffield's 2-up team time trial just being released onto the cycling time trials site now. This is the back of the yellow beacon group, and we're going to take a little bit of a look here at Burgess trying to stay with the back of that group. It looks to me like the pace is really, really hot here, and it is certainly starting to make things difficult for the riders as they get distance. Then they're going to be in trouble. So this ride continuing onwards, and the riders absolutely nailing it at the moment as they keep on going through. The sprint very busy as these riders come in and through, and it looks like one or two people getting a drop out now. The red beacon at the moment about 1 minute 25 seconds back, and we're just going to drop up in the sky and just see how Burr is doing. So Burr trying to close that gap down. It is really difficult. You can see this battle he's got on his way through here, trying to get himself onto the back wheel here, kicking out 4.9 watts per kilo to close down the riders in front, who are rolling at about 2.5 to 3. We're just on our way around the side of the windmill here in Zwift, the windmill in the centre of this big loop that you see our riders are going around at the moment. And we're going to be then heading down into the gorge to come across lap number 1 pretty much all together. As you know, we don't feature any of the riders playing the Muppet Show tunes up at the front. It's all about the riders between the yellow beacon and the red beacon. This is a ride for everybody on the way through. And then what will happen is we'll jump up in towards the yellow beacon group as we go in now. Mr. Burr getting himself back in. That is a really good riding, I have to say, on his way through. We're going to just drop across to some more of our riders out here. Just in with May at the moment, looking smooth. May just pushing on now. They need to jump on the wheels as these riders come in and through. It's all about nailing the wheels. If you can glue to a back wheel, if you cannot let the gap go, that is the way to keep yourself in the group. Remember, it is 6 meters is the draft. That is, at the moment, 6 meters, 3 bike lengths on average for these bikes, and that basically means you're going to get yourself in there. Having the right bike makes a difference. So an aero bike on this course, in fact on most courses, unless they have a hilltop finish, it's absolutely critical to get yourself in there. Now you can see Antel at the moment kicking out 1.6 watts per kilo at about 100 watts at the moment, 140 watts, and that is all about keeping the pace. Now we're just going to go past May here, who is chasing to stay on. We're going to move a little bit further up this group, and we're going to try and drop in with Road Phil. So this is Phil Jones, a fantastic supporter, along with a brother of the Chain Gang, as well as of the cycle sport within the UK and outside the UK, sponsoring continental teams, sponsoring domestic teams, male and female teams, and it is looking really good. So these groups are looking pretty good up there. It's all about keeping it together, guys. Try and stay in there, don't let those gaps go. Phil Jones in a small group here. He's got Steve Hilbert in for company. He's got Lee in there as well. Looks like a runner in there. They're chasing the group in front, and it's 3 seconds at the moment to a Beard on the bike, who has been distanced as a small group at the moment with Andy Birdsall just in front. And we're going to just take a little bit of a look now. This is where things get interesting, because we're going into the gorge, and this is where it's all about trying to stay with the group. And as you can see, the helicopter just tracking over the top of our riders out on the gorge. It is really tricky for the riders to stay in the group. This part of the course is a real roller coaster. Watch the top right hand side of your screen as Phil Jones makes his way down here. It is going up and down really smoothly. Goes from -1 up to 3%, drops down to -2%, over to 3%, and that does make it really difficult for our riders to stay together as they come down here, and it is a real task for the guys to keep it nailed together. We're going to move up a little bit through the group in a minute, and we're going to just jump in with Russ, who is just in the middle of the pack at the moment. So here we go. This is in with Russ at the moment. In with the riderless peloton. Always interesting to see, which means if we jump up in the sky, we're going to let Zwift render it all back together again. We're going to have a little bit of a look at the red beacon. I think he's collected at least one celebrity on the way round. Let's have a little bit of a look. We'll jump in with Andy Singleton, our red beacon at the moment as they come round. And I think Rebecca Charlton is going to be down in this group. Let's see if we can see Rebecca. They're now coming down into this same section, into the gorge. And this is where Rebecca needs to keep it nailed and stay with our beacon. So a really good group coming down here at the moment, all sitting around Andy Singleton, and it is absolutely motoring at the moment, this group. It's a big pack, all running around at that 2.5 watts per kilo mark. Looks like Jan Taylor in this group, Johnny Johnson in here, Catherine Adams in this group. Just going to drop across to Catherine sitting in this group. It really is a big pack of riders. A fantastic job being done here by Andy. The beacon holding a nice pack of riders together. And as you can see, making the way down through the gorge. We won't go in too close, otherwise we'll make you all dizzy. And to give you a clue of just what it looks like if you're sat in the middle of the pack, well, let's jump into Adam's view as they go in and through. So this is looking through the Oakleys. The Oakleys no doubt coming from the 1080s in Taylor as they make their way down through here, and it looks to me like Adams at the moment pushing on, trying to stay with that red beacon. You can just see the watts going up to 196, 200 watts. The gap just starting to open up a little bit. Got to close that gap down. Don't let the wheels go. It really is about keeping it nailed together as these riders come in and through. Andy Singleton in this group doing a great job of keeping this pack all together. It's a big group here on that red beacon, and all of our riders really do need to push together at the moment. So Andy keeping the instructions coming, and always good to see these riders now on the way down the section on this descent down in towards town. Lots of packs out on the road as you'd expect, with nearly 400 riders out on the course. Matt Stevens is looking good. Birthday boy Matt Stevens. I won't sing you happy birthday, Matt. You've heard my singing I think once before, and I don't think you want it again, so let's jump in. Looks like Ellie Swingle just in and around Matt Stevens, and Matt collecting plenty of thumbs up on the back, plenty of ride-ons here in Zwift, and this is the run into the finish. So as you can see, this is the finish. The orange beacon when we come through next time will be the signal we're coming in through the finish. And that is where we're going to be watching to see who is going to have it nailed, who's going to be able to keep up with the riders on the front, and that is the absolutely critical point that the riders need to remember. So it looks like Matt's got some good company here. Looks like Joe Jarvis in this group. Looks like Hardy is in here as well. Gary Licence not having too many tech issues today. Good to see you back here, Mr. Licence. Looks like Fryer in here, Fairclough, Johnson in here, Emma Collier riding strongly, Brown's in this group, Mr. Lecheray is in the group from House Racing. Just keeping a check, I think Ursula Jordan at the moment holding that orange jersey. Potter in here as well. Jumping in with Manet Lloyd here, the GCN presenter, ex-professional rider in the group in here, and looking pretty smooth. 80 revs per minute, 200 revs per minute. Let's take a look up. If we take our drone cam up over the top of the bridge, let's take a look where that yellow beacon is. I think it is just in front. Remember the aim of the ride, to stay around the yellow beacon, and as you can see, our riders absolutely motoring the way through. We're just taking a look at the Marina Sprint reverse. We've just got underneath, and those times, not bad times, but relatively immaterial for the purposes of the chain gang. Remember, of course, the chain gang is all about riding. It's a control workout, riding with our riders around that yellow beacon. And we're just going to take a little bit of a look through all of these riders in here. It really is a who's who. Good to check out who's actually out and riding on the gang. So at the moment, looks like we've got Sonia Inslee in here, Joe Jarvis, Ali Swingle, Imogen Wolf. Looks like Emma Collier riding. Ursula Jordan leading out. Looks like Freer in there, Joe Jarvis, Gaskell, Collier, Lisa Leverton, Gail Phillips. Looks like Miss Cookie, that's going to be Sarah in there, Ruth Taylor in here, Fish is in here, Mamuna Adam in here as well. It really is a great group of riders, all sitting in and around the beacon. And we're going to stay out of our camera that's just down on the main group, quite simply because if we jump in with them on the bridge, you get deafened. A bit like that. Now, Fran Brannigan on the way up in this group. Having a little bit of a chat. Looks like Mason O'Holliman is in this group. Can't believe that Mason hasn't got it. Hasn't got a professional jersey by the side of his name. Mason just easing off on the pressure as we go to him. Typical. So let's just jump in with Lisa Leverton. Lisa, I think, sitting on the back of this group here. So just holding the back of the pack here. The yellow beacon just up in front. These are the key riders that we always focus on the way around. And remember, the red group are going to motor their way into the finish. He's our beacon at the back. 3 minutes down on the back of the main bunch at the moment. Remember, he's not the last rider on the road, and he's choosing. We give all of our red beacons the freedom to run it as they need to, and at the moment Andy choosing to run that as a group to try and get as big a pack round in at the finish, rolling around at that 2.5 watts per kilo mark, which is what we always aim at for the red beacon, and certainly looks like he's doing the business at the moment at the back there. Remember, of course, lots of groups out on course, and we will be bringing all of our groups in and over the finish now. Just riding in with Joe Jarvis. Joe in this little group that have got to watch themselves. They're going to need to put the pressure on a little bit here. Gary Lysa's just starting to be distanced. The pace just starting to pick it up here. And Joe Jarvis in this group, and it looks to me like Joey Walker riding around only a couple of seconds off this group. So this is Joey Walker, the national cricket champion here with the flat cap. Hey up, Joey. So Joey's got his flat cup on, looking the proper Yorkshireman, which is what we want to see when we're out here on Chain Gang. And Joey just working his way back up. So let's stay in with Joey as he works his way in through the groups. I'm sure Joey's just going to be making his way up towards Russ, but Joey Walker working his way in through the groups. So just going alongside Bradley Atkinson at the moment. So going around Atkinson, looks like Mason Holliman and Joey Walker just going to be pulling the way in together. So that's Mason coming onto the back wheel of Walker with the flat cap. The two of them, if they work together, are going to absolutely hurtle through the group. So let's keep an eye on them. They're going to be closing in on Mr. Bell. That's Beefy from Cycleways in the blue and the grey there. Going past Shaw with the orange at the moment. Now pushing onwards. Next targets are going to be Gale and Carl Johnson. So Chris Gale, Carl Johnson on the green Tron bike. Garfoot in there. And Walker and Holliman at the moment are really pushing on here. They're trying to get onto those back wheels in the main group. And this is a big push to get up to Russ at the moment. It looks like Nick Rudkin in this group. Darren Cooling, Rob Wimble in here. Fryers in this group. Phillips in here. Ewan McLeod. And at the moment just still riding in with Joey Walker with that flat cap on. He's working his way up towards Russ. This shows you just how big the pack is. Joey, of course, one of the key people. And Joey, I think, having gone off the back of the pack for a sprint there. So it looks to me like the guys just coming in towards the bridge. Going to jump up in the sky with Joey Walker. Joey just making his way up. He's stood alongside Andy Halls. It's not going to be long. He's stood alongside, I think, Alex Belden at the moment. Just making his way around Matt Bostock. Lauren O'Brien in the group. Gail in there. Gail Phillips. And we're going to just drop back down in with Joey as he makes his way up towards Russ's wheels at the moment. So Joe with that flat cap at the moment, just making his way along that group, and certainly working well. Looks like one or two riders getting a bit of power drop off. We always say try and hardwire in your computer if you can, and that's the key way to make sure that you are going to get yourselves in the right place at the right time, is make sure you don't get a dropout. Now, big power there for Joey Walker and Mason Hollyman coming back in. Russ just keeping a check on where everybody is, and Joey here sat nicely in this group. We're going to go up in the sky again and back up a little bit. So Russ, I think, has actually made it up onto the front of the group. He's certainly the front as far as we regard it. Kev Dawson up here as well. Dan Ward in here. Brett Doughty in here. Keith Richardson's in here. Chris Hilbert. It really is a who's who. Russ quickly corrected himself and saying he was on the front. Don't worry, Russ. It comes to us all when the front is a fleeting moment. Don't worry. So just going to jump in with Russ. Let's have a little bit of a look at Mr. Downing. Let's see how he's getting on. Has he broken into a sweat yet? Well, it looks like it. That green Pinarello is looking a little dusty from those French roads. So quite literally right above Russ's chevron here. I'm just going to drop slightly sideways. And Russ just sitting in with this group, which is ticking along at a fair old pace, it has to be said. Plenty of riders in here, more than capable of giving it some big shoves at the moment. It looks like Russ has had to put some serious watts per kilo to get right up to the front. The pace is pretty hot at the moment, 32k on its way through at the moment. Looks like Ian Brooks in here, Simon McNamara, Ollie Dawson, Kev Dawson in here, just keeping a check on where everybody is. It looks like James in here from the Musette Cafe. Good to see you, mate. Say hi to my brother and sister-in-law, won't you, when you see them next? Matt Stevens up in here. Looks like Man and Lloyd just rolling around in this group as well. Leo Mazzoni's in here. Looks like Bauer in here. Glyn, Forey, Hollyman's in here. John Wyatt from Veloviewer in. Darryl Clark in here. Booze in here. Harrison Tacey in. Good to see Harrison right up in the front of this group. And this is our leading group at the moment as they come around. Mont Saint Michel in the background as this group goes flying through, and Dan Evans in here as well. Russ nicely ensconced in the group. So here we go. The go has gone, and just as I was about to question whether Russ was going to do it, the go has gone. The signal for everybody to let rip, to pull the pin, to put the pedal to the metal, to open the throttles, to get the taps flowing. You name it, we can use pretty much everything. To get wings on your wheels. Time to play chess on wheels up at the front, to ride mano a mano, and all the other commentator bingo phrases you can think of. We can use them, but we're not going to. We're going to focus in on our riders. This is our leading group. Remember, we will try and call everybody across the line. Not always easy to do. And I think these guys really are going to have to rip it apart on the way in as we come through if they want it to be a clean run into the finish here on RGV. 34k complete now, and you can see this is a big group motoring along at the front here. Plenty of pros, and I think Leo Mazzoni just going off the front. So just going to take a quick check on the road. One or two riders really trying to keep this pace high as they keep on going, and it's Leon Mazzoni who I think is really up near the front. The Crimson Rider pushing on at the moment. The Maxman at the moment just in this group, and we're going to try and drop in. We're going to weave our way through the trees. The Fat Cyclist, that's Gareth Mason in here, and he can't be discounted as we come in. He's won on this course before. John Wild in here. Harrison Tacey, if the surname is familiar, that's quite something because he is the brother of April Tacey, who's a guest on our show. John from Bellevue in here. Rob Copeland's back in. Good to see Rob in here. Hopefully keeping yourself smooth, Rob, and not damaging that injury too much. Rob Copeland coming back from an injury, one of our original super fast chain gangers. And Rob, always a popular man to see out on the course. Looks like Dan Coleman in here. Matt Bostock's in this group. Looks like Dan Evo Harworth's in here. Dan Coleman is in now. Dan Coleman, a great climber. Has he got the power to take us all the way into the finish? So Andy Hall's acting as a little ASOS beacon down in the middle of the group. We are going to just jump out a little bit from Mr. Coleman. Just keep an eye on this group. The drone cam just running a little bit on the slow side today. Apologies for that. It is just simply because of the sheer volume of riders we've got. And you can just see everybody is really pushing on here. They all want to be in the group. We're just in with Andy Thornley at the moment, and it looks to me like everybody just trying to push on towards the finish. Matt Bostock just up at the front. We're just taking a little bit of a look, because generally the riders who are going to be the fastest riders in through the finish are the riders who do the least work at the moment. So we're just taking a little bit of a look at the Pavé sprint form results. It looks like Annie Simpson from OTE are right in there, currently sitting in second place. So in the women's, it's Annie Simpson in second place on Team On Form rider leading them home. Abby Smith currently sitting in third place, but all that is going to change. We're going to see the riders coming into Pavé Sprint very shortly. And the question is, who is going to take that? Are we going to see Joey Walker or Matt Bostock doing the business? Will it be Gareth Mason who we're in with at the moment? I think Mason probably keeping his powder dry for later. Let's just jump in with Matt Bostock. Matt, of course, a rider that we've seen in action on the chain gang repeatedly, and certainly a rider we know who can do the business. He had an absolutely sterling season not all that long ago, where he was winning for fun on the National Crit Series as well as on the Tour Series. And at the moment, these riders now in and on to the cobbles. They're coming through the green here. We're going to just jump up above them at the moment. We're just watching Matt Bostock in that canyon strip at the moment. That's the dark blue strip. Moving up into about fifth wheel. Who's going to be able to get this? Remember, they're absolutely nailing it, and Bostock it is who's leading this out. Bostock on the front here. Can he continue to keep this all the way into the line? He's not going to be the first man over the line. Glynn, I think, did that, but that's bad timing. I'm not sure he's going to have got that now. In the women, Manon Lloyd came through to take that, so it's Manon Lloyd with a 25-1-2 for the women. In the men, Glynn did come through to take that, so Bostock being pushed down into third place, because I think it is going to be Bostock sitting in third. It's Glynn taking top spot there, so a really good sprint by him to take 22.85, a 25-1-2 for Lloyd at the moment. And some very fast times on the way through there. Looks like McNamara with a 24.02. Finley Priest right up there. And it certainly shows you Andy Bishop inside the 25-second mark. And not even inside the top 10. So Bishop really just need to pull his finger out as we go on. Fast times in the women's as well. And if you look at that, all top 15 riders well inside the 30 seconds mark. And top 11 riders inside 29 seconds. Top 7 riders inside 28, and that shows you just how quick this is tonight here on the Donny Chain Gang, live on the YouTube channel as Lloyd, Story, Smith, McDonald and Gilbert is the top 5 in the women's at the moment. Manon Lloyd, Becky Story, and it's going to be Abby Smith, McDonald, and then Ely Gilbert rounding out your top 5 in the women. But at the moment, this is the group that is leading the chain gang out, and some of the women still nicely ensconced in this group, putting in plenty of turns to keep this moving. I've seen Manon Lloyd in here, and I think Lloyd just pushing to get onto the back and stay with the back of that group. Russ sitting in this group as well. So it really is a who's who in this group. We're going to get up in the air as we go up onto the Aqueduct KOM. Let's see if anybody's going to line this out. It is very, very difficult to put too much in here. Looks like Hutchinson is winding it up near the front here. We're going to try and get right up to the front of this group. And let's see who's going to be taking this out. Jones working hard here. McNamara up near the front. Oxenham really giving it some beats. Mason Holliman, though, it is who's going to lead them through. So is Holliman going to take that as he comes through? Yes, he does. 33.23 for Holliman, and you can see it's snowing PRs. It's raining down like confetti on the riders at the moment. And look at that, a full screen of personal records as our riders go up and over. Becky Story coming through with that lead group along with Man and Lloyd nicely inside that 40-second mark for Becky Story. That is a phenomenal time up there. Mason Holliman and 33.23. Harrison Tacey coming through with a 34.76. So Mason Holliman, who took that Everesting record earlier in 2020, is the rider who comes up. And of course Holliman, one of the Downing Cycling coached riders on the front, just being caught by that group as they come in and along. At the moment it really is a who's who. Matt Bostock in here, it's got Ewan McLeod in here, Dan Winfield, Harrison Tacey, Gibson's in here, Kevin Dawson, Ollie Dawson in this group as well. We'll try and feature everybody on the way in. Always very difficult on this RGV course. Our riders are now making the way along the section that takes them towards the Ballon Sprint. It's only rolling now, so very difficult to get a PR on the way through the next one, which is Ballon Sprint, and that is going to be quite similar because everybody's going to be winding up on the way in towards the finish. But everybody at the moment sat on this group, one or two people struggling at the back there, and I think I can just about make out the figure of Bostock coming back into this group. So at the moment, as they go heading in through town, this is our leading group who are well clear now. We'll try and get you some time checks from further back down in the course. So the leading group is McNamara, Mazzoni, Marky MJ, Albie Jones, Alec Hutchinson right in there, Paul Double in there, Dean Kirkenbred, Dowtree, Dan Hepton, Dan Evo, Darryl Clark, Rob Copeland. It looks like Fat Cyclist, that's Gareth Mason in here, Russ Downing in this group, Matt Bostock in here, Charlie Gibson in here, Matt Stevens just about holding on. Let's take a quick check where Matt is. Matt in this group, yep, Matt Stevens is in here. He's going to be sweating buckets. Make sure you go onto his Instagram feed to see just how good that hair looked on his birthday. So this group now 10 seconds clear of the chasing group. We're going to drop back to group number 2, and this is group 2. It is a pretty small group. We're just going to take a look. I think it's going to be about 2 or 3 riders at the moment. That 2 riders clear. So this is Becky Story that we're with at the moment on the front. Sam Emsley on the wheels. So Story, then Emsley as they come through. Ben from Veloviewer, Dabrowski trying to close that gap down. If we jump in with Ben from Veloviewer, the man who puts it all together, here he is. It's going to be Ben in the black. Nicely in the middle of this group, just making sure he can surf the wheels, not do too much work here. Ben from Veloview, the man who provides us with these fantastic graphics at the start, as well as all of the information in group number 2. But the gap is continuing to go out at the moment. Remember, the leaders were at 10 seconds. They've now pushed that out to 22 seconds as the pace continues to push on at the front. It is absolutely nailed. Nobody going clear at the moment in that leading group. We're just going to stay with group number 2 on the road at the moment, and it is fragmented. Even this group really going to be struggling to stay with the pace of these. It looks like Owen Davis is in here, Andy Bishop in this group, Mees in here, Richards, Hayworth in here, and it's 13 seconds back now to Pillinger. 14 seconds, sorry, into Pillinger's group. This is group number 3 on the road. So group number 3 at the moment, working well, but distanced by our leaders. So group 3 in here, Manon Lloyd with that green sprint jersey, sitting in that red of GCN, currently sitting in the penultimate wheel on the back there as these riders coming through, just watching Crossland, Woodall, Green, Pillinger. Looks like McLean, Lloyd on the way through. There looks like JT from Johnson Wheeler's in that group as well. It is absolutely nailed. Further up the road though, let's jump in with Finley Priest. Finley Priest is in group 2 here, and certainly looking like they are fighting. They're 23 seconds up the road. Let's try and jump right up to the leading group. Easier said than done at the moment. We're going to take a little bit of doing to jump in with them. So at the moment the groups are chasing hard. We're going to get ourselves right the way back up to Russ or similar, right at the front. We'll jump in with Liam Mazzoni at the moment. And that's going to be our plan, if it all works. So here we are, the Crimson Rider in this group. The Mountsman sitting in the pack. Russ up near the front here. Gibson in here. Darrell Clark in here. Mason Holliman. Look at this. Nobody going for the sprint. We said nobody would go hard here. They might get PRs, and they are. It's absolutely stirring confetti once again as they go through. But nobody going for that sprint that time round. And that is quite simply because it is so quick. This is the leading group. Who is going to come clear? It is a real who's who of riding the Donny Chain Gang. There's some very fast riders in this group. Yet again, people trying to string it out. Double on the front, just stretching it out. Holliman closes it down. McNamara, third wheel. Sandy Smith, strong Scottish rider Smith. He's been aggressive all the way through the back end of the 2020 Donny Chain Gangs. Russ Downing now pushing up near the front. Let's work through Matt Gilmore, the youngster in here. Bowley is the rider on the front. I think it's Bowley who's got on the offensive. We're going to try and get up with Ed Bowley at the moment. I think it is Ed, if I've got my names correctly. It is Ed Bowley. So Bowley is the rider on the front now. Let's take a look back. He's got the attack on. He's got the throttle open. Everybody behind trying to respond at the moment. John Wild leading the chase. Matt Gilmore, the youngster, is in. He's only 15, is Gilmore, but he's doing more than his fair share of work here. It looks like everybody's pulling him back, though. They're not letting him go. This is absolutely brutal. They've left him out there. He's pushing nearly 7 watts per kilo. Gilmore, Mazzoni, Grinley in here, Smithson, Clark, Double, Richardson. They're all nailing it. They are going to pull Bowley back. Here he comes. He's in with the group, and he's going to be working his way through. After an effort like that, it's going to be really, really tough to get himself back out of the front once again. Now let's take a little bit of a jump in with Harrison Tacey. Harrison in this group at the moment. He's in the yellow and black stripe strip. He's just alongside Williams, and you can just see that Bowley now is the rider on the back. Ed Bowley is sitting on the back, and he's just being distanced out. He's absolutely flat stick here. He's pushing to get back into this group. Harrison Tacey in the yellow and black, just moving his way up through this group. He's sitting on the back. It's really hard to push on. As John Herity would say, it's time to move up, move up. It's really difficult to do so with a group like this, full of professionals and ex-professionals and future professional riders. Now, it really is a who's who. Who do you jump in with here? The big guns are out to play. Who's your money on? We could come in for a sprint. Is Dan Winfield going to go all aggressive on us and try and rip this up on his way through the gorge? It looks to me like everybody just holding their powder dry, not lighting the fuse at the moment. And it's Ewan McLeod who is now on the front. So the pace is pretty hot up here. And these riders, it's Ewan McLeod who is on the front, the Downing Cycling coached rider in the green here. Ewan McLeod, who of course has just signed with the pros, sitting in this group. And a rider with a bright future now. Foreman moving up on the front. Rob Copeland, though, could be the man who could take this out. It looks like all these guys are absolutely nailing it. Question is, who's going to be able to take this from the front now? Dan Evo is right up there. Everybody is putting the pressure on, but nobody's breaking clear. We keep on seeing the flickering red numbers. So if you're watching the riders on the right of your screen, you will see the flickering red numbers. They basically, when they go up into the 8 watts per kilo or above mark, the numbers will start turning red, and it shows just how hard these guys are going. But it is all together at the moment now. We're heading down into the gorge, and this is where, if you've got any pace, if you've got any speed left in those legs, you need to put the pressure on, and you need to break it clear, unless you are the best sprinter in the group, the best sprinter out of all these riders. Well, that's going to be very difficult to tell. You can't discount the fat cyclist. That is Gareth Mason, a man whose FTP is a phenomenal 400 watts. Can he put them to use now? Can he outdrag sprinters like Matt Bostock, Joey Walker, riders who have won a professional crit after crit after crit? The question is it in the legs today? Is it going to be his day today when he's got all these big guns out? It's a massive group coming down in towards the finish here on the open Donny Chain Gang. Remember, our rides on Tuesdays and Thursdays open to absolutely everybody. At the moment, we just rolling them in and through big numbers as the pressure goes on, and it looks to me like it's Hollyman now taking up the pace at the front. Look at this, Hollyman with a little bit of a gap behind him, double closing him back down again. Hollyman up to 8 watts per kilo. You just saw it flick red there, 7.4. Hollyman's going for this. He's going for the aggressive one. We can drop him a ride on as well. There it goes, big thumb over his head. Ride on, of course, the way that you give these guys kudos on the way through. We said Sandy Smith was a strong rider. It's Sandy Smith on the front now. So Sandy Smith trying to keep everybody but at bay behind, but they are queuing up to have a go, and Gareth Mason is right in here. So let's jump in with Mason now if we can. This is the Fat Cyclist. Is it going to be Mason's day? They are starting to rip this group apart. They've got a gap now. Russ is in the group behind. And can they get this gap clear? We've got a small group of riders just starting to stretch this out. This is only about 12 riders and the gap is next to nothing behind. It's only a second or so, but they need to keep the pressure on if they're going to keep this broken up. This is really, really tough stuff. You can see just how hard these guys are going. Some huge what's going to be coming out here. As these riders come through, the Fat Cyclist is taking a ride in with them. He's not letting them go, but he's not doing a turn on the front. Some would say that's not a surprise. Some would say he's one of the smartest riders in the bunch. We just know he's known as the Fat Cyclist. Gareth Mason unmasked as the man who could be one of the smartest riders in the bunch. He will be if he takes this, because he knows he's going to be taking some major scalps here. And Mr. Mason, not sure how you can even type oi whilst you're going along this fast. You know you get endless amounts of stick from us, but you know what? It's only because we're jealous of his huge, phenomenal power. And I must admit, I do identify with him because he is one of the slightly larger riders in the group, let's say. So let's take a jump up towards the front. Looks like Clark topping all up at the front here. Russ Downing jumping onto the front. Russ, what are you doing? You feeling all right, mate? You said your legs hurt. So Russ at the moment right up near the front. Our drone camera just zooming in on that Zwift jersey there as double goes back on the front again, just opening it up. Sandy Smith is in here. We've only got a small number of turns left before we come down into the finish. Who's got the pace? Who's going to take it? Who is going to take victory in this race that's not really a race but always turns into one? So the riders diving down, just sat in with Russ as we move our way in. Looks like Ewan McLeod has gone on the offensive. He's gone early here. He's trying to rip it up. So Ewan McLeod it is, who's gone clear on the front. That is some power, but they're all after him, and it looks like it's Downing who's leading the chase behind them. Bostock and Richardson. They are absolutely pushing on here. This is going to be very, very quick indeed. I don't want to know who my money's on. Hutchinson now trying to rip it off the front. Bostock's in there. Mazzoni's in there, but it's Hutchinson who's gone clear. And Hutchinson is the rider who is clear. We're going to jump in with Alex Hutchinson. Hopefully we're going to get a good ride into the finish. So we're in with Hutchinson. Here he comes. He's into the sprint. He is round the bend at the moment. And it's Hutchinson who's got the gap. But here they come. Richardson kicks. He comes over the top. And Richardson goes. But it is going to be Coleman who takes it. Dan Coleman gets it. As they come in and through line. Hutchinson's attack came to nothing. And Coleman comes through to take victory, the fastest man in the chain gang today. We're just working our way round. I think Manon Lloyd is likely to be the fastest woman. And you can see everybody backing off the pressure here. The riders are coming in thick and fast through the finish. We're going to try and work our way up to Manon Lloyd. I think she is liable to be the next rider in terms of the women's riders. It's absolutely frantic on the run into the finish at the moment. So we're just going to take a little bit of a look up the road as we watch Manon Lloyd on the way in here. It was absolutely flat stick to the finish there with Coleman just taking that now. Fran Brannigan is in here. Let's have a little bit of a look just in with Brannigan. We are when it works, which is on the good days. Manon Lloyd in this group. We're just taking a little bit of a look up in front to see who is in front of them at the moment. So Chris Hilbert in here. Looks like Jimmy Mack in this group. But let's just jump in with Jimmy as they come around the corner. Of course, a national crit champion, Jimmy, in his own right. So let's jump up in the air. Jimmy Mack in the orange in with this group. Is he going to manage to sprint into the finish? Remember, Man and Lloyd in this group as well. I think Becca is in here as well. It really is a who's who. And don't forget, of course, we've got that women's only event, and that is going to be coming up as we ride in with Jimmy Mack into the finish. Big kick, and I think it's going to be Smith who gets that. So I think Abby Smith just got that from Man and Lloyd there. So Abby Smith going in. Let's take a little bit of a look at the women's sprint results on the way through. Abby Smith taking it from Man and Lloyd and Becky Story. So a 12.97 for Abby Smith. Man and Lloyd taking second place. And that is from Team GCM with the 13.17. And then it is going to be the rest of the group. And Becky Story leading the rest of the group in there. Great to see all these riders making their way through the finish. We're going to try and drop back as fast as we can to the riders on the way in. You just have to bear with us as these riders go down into the warm down. It is pretty tricky to get back and cover everybody, but we'll do our best on the way into the finish. So we're going to jump in with Annie Simpson from OTE already having come in through the finish. And it is going to be a little bit tricky to catch our next riders. So we're going to drop in, I think, with Ant Evans. Let's see where Ant is out on the road. Ant on his way in. There are a number of riders just up in front, but we're just riding in with Ant at the moment. Gail Phillips in with this group. Don't forget, Gail Phillips is going to be our red beacon on the women's ride. Wallace just up the road. Mason up the road as well. O'Shea doing the same. Callaway in here. Pritchard's in here. Chris Pritchard looking good. Don't forget, Chris, of course, a regular on the chain gang. Let's keep an eye on Chris as he starts to come in. Big sprint coming from Chris Pritchard here. Out of the saddle and absolutely pushing it all the way to line. 10.4 watts per kilo as he comes in and through the line. You can see the confetti raining down on Pritchard. And all of these riders. Paul Coleman coming through, setting a new PR as well. Great to see. So Bennett coming in, and a massive group of riders coming through as we work our way back to the next riders out on course. And it is a big old gap back, actually. I think we're just going to take a look in front. I think Liam Callaway is in and through, and the chaser behind is coming. He's coming thick and fast, but this is the chasing group as far as we can tell. Out on the course, we're just taking a little bit of a look up on the map view and just seeing if we can see anybody in between. But it certainly looks like this is going to be our next group coming in. We're going to watch our riders in and through. This is the next big pack that we've been able to get back to. It is rather tricky out there, it has to be said, and apologies if we miss you coming in with 400, nearly 400 riders. Very, very difficult. So Paul Coleman coming through, leading his group in. Dan Coleman taking victory in the very front of the ride. Everybody now giving it a big kick in. They all know we've got to go into the finish. This is absolutely critical. You've got to keep it nailed all the way into the line. We're just riding in with Gregory at the moment. You can see just how strong this is. Everybody putting out huge watts per kilo as they come in and through the line. And great to see so many of our regulars coming through there with Andy Halls. And looks like Mick Fairest in that group as well. So just taking a little bit of a look back as Andy Halls comes in, and we're going to drop back. This is going to be our next big group. So just going to jump up above. I think Darren Cooling at the moment is the rider just winding it up on the front. In the green is Cooling. So at the moment it's going to be Cooling, followed by Billy Minomates. John Garth comes through just ahead of John Paul Wheater. Bradley Atkinson, Gail Smith, Edmonds, Wolf Knight comes through. Good riding there by the youngster Imogen Wolf. So we're going to drop back. Emma Collier, the next rider in across the line, just ahead of Ellie Swingle. Nick Rudkin, Whitlock coming in. Mr. Robinson just behind it. Looks like plenty of riders just starting to make their way in and over the line. We are going to just jump out a little bit on our map view just to double check we're not missing anybody on the way in. But I think this is our next riders on the course. And this is going to be Carl Johnson, who we're riding in with at the moment. Carl, a regular on the Chain Gang and a real hero, along with people like Colin Bell, Beefy, from Cycleways, people who have donated on the PayPal button. Don't forget you can get there from the Facebook page, and you can get there from the DonnyChainGang.com pages. So coming in, Carl Johnson on his way in, Joe Jarvis, Lisa Leverton on the way in. I know Joe has had a couple of finishes covered, so let's jump in with Lisa. Let's see what Lisa's got left in the tank as she comes in towards the finish. We're going to watch this unfold. Carl Johnson's going to be hot favourite here. He has a massive sprint on him, and it is going to be Carl Johnson who's going to get this. He's going to be the first rider over the line. Then it's going to be, very tight behind. It was then Colin Bell in second, then Lisa Leverton in third, Joe Jarvis in fourth, Mosley in fifth there. So very, very close sort of between those sort of riders as they came in. We're just in with Spence at the moment. Our next rider heading into the line. So just in with Spence from Teesdale at the moment. So Spence looking good as he goes in and underneath the gantry, and we're moving back to our next groups of riders out on course. I think it's going to be Sonia Inslee, who's just down the road at the moment, and Sonia, by the look of it, in this last few days has got herself a Tron bike. Nice set of wheels, kid. Sonia Inslee, regular on the Chain Gang, great rider out on real roads as well. Has a gap here from the chasing group behind. Now, can she hold them off? It is 4 seconds to Mike Killingsworth, to Miss Cookie, Karen Partington, just back there, Dr. Hemstock, Doc Hemstock back there, and Xavier Ortiz around, chasing hard behind Inslee here. Sonia needs to put the pressure on the pedals. You can see from the map view up the top the gap that she's got. She's coming in front. Is one more corner to go, and you can see at the moment Sonia Inslee comes over the line into the sprint, 190 meters. As you hit that sprint line, the gantry is in front. Where are those riders behind? Well, they're coming, and they are coming quickly. The question is, are they going to get her? It's going to be close, but it is going to be Sonia Inslee, I think, who's going to lead this group through. So Sonia Inslee it is. Then Xavier Teese round, Mike Killingsworth, Karen Partington, Sarah Grimshaw, Miss Cookie going through. And then I think Antle going to be the rider just coming in with the group behind here. We're going to jump in with Darren Billings, who is in with this pack. Lee is in here as well. Owen's in here. So just jumping in with Andy Wolf at the moment from Matlock. Andy in this group as they come in towards the finish. All these riders know that they need to just kick in towards and underneath the gantry, which they do. Fantastic group here. And again, PR after PR after PR as these riders come through. Looks like Rumble in there. Steve Hilbert in that group as well. Tompkins in there. Looks like a real who's who. Looks like Martin Bolt in there. We're just even with Andy Singleton. So Singleton coming in and through the line. So it looks like Andy's pulled a massive group round there in to the finish. So great riding by Andy. A massive thank you to our Red Beacon. So we're going to drop back a little bit. We're going to try and get ourselves back out on course. Here's Sean Ferron. He's got Conor McWigan. We're going to work our way up a little bit. And let's just see who we've got just in front. And I suspect we'll have a look at Mr. Johnson, who is our next rider in towards the line. So coming in, it is going to be Johnson. Next rider coming into the finish here on the Donny's Chain Gang. Is absolutely manic out there today. Great to see Johnny Johnson out and riding on the Chain Gang along with all of our riders. Don't forget, guys, Russ and I set this up in lockdown number 1 as a way we could contribute at a time when we didn't have any wages and didn't have any events or work. That has continued onwards, but we've continued onwards with the Chain Gang, and that means that we're bringing you the Donny Chain Gang, a ride that has gone from 2 or 3 groups of 2 or 3 riders, 10, 15 riders. We thought we'd maybe get 50 riders out there, and we'd spend half hour a day on the ride beforehand, just stitching it all together. Now it's 3 days a week for us, 3 days a week for myself, Matt Payne, and between us we co-produce, we put on the Donny Chain Gang, we work out the routes, we get our riders together, we look after the Facebook pages as well as all of the production, the YouTube, the giveaways, etc. We can't do that without your help though, and that means that we need you to get onto the donate buttons on the Facebook page and on the Donny Chain Gang website. That's DONNYCHAINGANG.com. And don't forget, guys, if you donate on there, you can help us bringing you all of this in to you. This fantastic ride that seems to us developed into a community pretty much. Is all due to all of our riders, the spirit of the riders who've come through, and of course all of the efforts of everybody who has made it happen. And a massive thank you to everybody who's contributed so far. Without your help, we wouldn't have reached this huge number of 479 clicking on logging it into ride, and with nearly 400 riders actually around in the main bunch. A difficult ride to control. We're going to be bringing you lots more rides, including our women only ride on the 20th of January. Please guys, make sure that you do contribute on there. If you're struggling with them, get in touch with Russ or myself on the Facebook page. Send us a message. Don't forget, you can send us a message. That's Russ at DONNYCHAINGANG.com or Matt at FullSpeedEvents.com, and we're going to be bringing you lots more rides on the way in, lots more giveaways as we see Andy Whitehead and Conor McGuigan coming into the line. Great riding, guys. They come through just in front. You can just see behind, I think it's going to be Sean Ferron, the next rider in through the line. Yeah, Sean Ferron coming through with I think it's going to be Claire James on her way into the line. So they're our next, sorry, Catherine James coming through. My apologies, Catherine. So Catherine and Sean are next riders in, which means we're going to drop back a little bit, and this is going to be to Grant. So this is to Jason Grant at the moment. So Jason Grant in the GB strip there on his way down now. He's got about 58 seconds to Gary Pattison. It's going to be Ricky Morgan, Ollie Sawyer, Tim Cooper, David Hodkinson behind Michael Barnett, Andy Bursell, Joe Mudden, Becca Charlton, and I think Rob Hawkins, who are out on course at the moment. So Grant are going to be taking that right-hand turn very shortly and lining himself up on the way in to the finish. So Jason Grant now takes that turn, and it's going to be a run into the finish for Jason Grant. You can see pedaling nice and smoothly, 76 revs per minute here on the Donny Chain Gang, live on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel. Don't forget, guys, make sure you click on the links nice and early. Get yourself set up, get that Wi-Fi hardwired into whatever you're using to run the game. And we're going to be bringing you all of the action next week. Don't forget, of course, next week, the links will come out on the Monday or the Tuesday, and we'll see where we're going to be heading. Generally, the Tuesdays tend to be hillier. I don't think that's going to be a problem for Grant, who comes through. So Jason Grant finishing his rider, which means our next rider out on the course is going to be Ricky Morgan. So let's jump across to Ricky. Ricky out on course at the minute, just rolling down out of the gorge and heading down in towards those turns. He's chasing a group in front, and in fact we're just going to take a little bit of a look, because I think Pattison's going to be up the road here. He is, so it's going to be Gary Pattison, who is the rider in front. We have to remember, of course, that the tracker doesn't always track the rider nearest on the course. It will often track the rider nearest geographically to the rider, and if the course horseshoes its way round, it may well get the ends of the horseshoe rather than the long loop that it tracks the rider through. But coming in onto the marina is going to be Pattison. He's got about 4 seconds to Sawyer. You can see Sawyer coming behind and the rest of the group coming in. So at the moment it is Pattison who is being chased hard here. Gary Pattison being chased, David Hodkinson, Tim Cooper, Ollie Sawyer, Michael Barnett, Becky Porter, all working hard behind, but it looks like Pattison's just about going to hold them off. He's got the gantry in sight. Whereabouts are they? They're coming, but they're not going to come quick enough. So here we go. It is going to be Pattison who comes over the line. He's followed through the line then by Sawyer. David Hodkinson comes through. Tim Cooper comes through. Porter James comes through as well. So Becky Porter James coming through, finishing her ride here on the Donny Chain Gang. And these riders with a gap, I think it's only going to be about 11 seconds. It is indeed, as over the line goes Ricky Morgan pushing his way all the way into the line there. Behind then, we're going to take a little bit of a check back and to see who is our nearest riders. It may well be, it is going to be Barnett who's on his way in here. No, Barnett out the other side of the chain gang here, so he's over the finishing line. And I think that means that we are going to be Andy Birdsall. So Andy Birdsall out on course. We've got Joe Munden riding down, and Joe's got a group here with the Just Pedal rider at the moment. That's Rob. So Rob Hawkins, Joe Munden, and the one and only Becky Charlton. So Rebecca Charlton in this group. Nice group of 3 here, working well. Rebecca Charlton taking up the Lantern Rouge position for a little while, sweeping these riders up and doing a fantastic job, and hoping we're going to see Rebecca on the women's chain gang, the women's only chain gang, on the 20th of January. So we're going to jump up to Andy Birdsall. Andy, another regular on the chain gang, and Andy, notorious of course for being the Minuteman to a certain Mr. Wiggins. And as Andy comes in, he has one more right hand turn to do, and Andy looking good. He's got a gap at the moment of about 51 seconds back to Munden, Charlton and to Hawkins, and that is the man from Just Pedal on his way down this straight. Here comes the right hand turn. So Andy Birdsall round the right hand turn now, starts to make his way down. He's going to go over that green indicator strip, the flashing strip at the side, indicating that it's 190 metres to come in and through the orange gantry. So big kick as he comes through. This is going to be where he sees the gantry lined up in front of him. Andy Birdsall knows we finish at the orange gantry, and Andy Birdsall out the saddle. Look at that, 10.6 watts per kilo peak there. So 10.6 watts per kilo as he sprints in from Andy Birdsall. Great ride, mate. And comes over the line in 1 hour 25. Behind then, it's going to be Hawkins, who is now down around that right hand turn. Charlton and Munden. So let's jump in with Rob Hawkins first of all. Rob Hawkins in the black strip with the white and red on the back there. The yellow and black socks riding nice and smoothly. And we're going to drop these guys some thumbs up, some ride-ons on the way through. So it looks like Rick Hawkins. He's got Joe Munden. Joe, of course, a very experienced cyclist, a great rider and racer on the way down. So just dropping down, just Joe Munden coming down the straight, and we're also going to put a thumbs up. I think we've already done it, I think, for Becky Charlton, but we'll just have a little bit of a look. Rebecca on the way onto the straight as well, and these riders I think all know that we're going to finish as we come in and across the line. So we're going to ride in with Rebecca Charlton. We'll get our drone cam up and over the riders. Rebecca Charlton in the green, Rick Hawkins in the black, and Joe Munden in the fluo strip. Who's got the sprint on them? We're coming in. Is anybody going to sprint in? Is there anything left in these legs as they come through? Joe Munden's going to take this, I think. So Munden just kicking out a little bit more just to stay on the front. So it's Joe Munden, Becky Charlton and Rick Hawkins who come in to the finish. So as our last riders come in and through, I'll say a massive thank you to everybody who's ridden today. It's been absolutely mad out there. We've been watching really with great interest to see those numbers come up. Thanks to you, the chain gang is continuing onwards. Please remember, do go on to the website www.DONNYCHAINGANG.com. Go onto the Facebook page, join the group, get into that community, and make sure that you get yourselves in there. There's loads of support, loads of tips, and loads of our riders on there, and that community growing daily as well. Growing every minute pretty much, to be fair, given the amount of ping my phone does all the way through day and night trying to get everybody in there. Please guys, make sure you read the rules, get the message boards on, tell us when you get a new FTP, get that community growing, and remember guys, if you've got a few spare pennies, send them our direction so we can keep on doing the chain gang. Russ and I absolutely love bringing this to you, and we're going to continue to do so for as long as we can, but we do need your help. Make sure you go on to the pages. So from Russ the Bed, Fonzie Downing himself, from myself, Matt Payne, thank you for joining us on the Donny Chain Gang. Have a safe weekend, and we'll see you. It's going to be Tuesday.